Happy day after the rain. Oh my gosh, we needed rain. It's very good. I don't know how much we got, do you?
I haven't a clue.
Well, we got a lot. We'll go with a lot. That's good. So, we are talking today about an email that I get every day from a historian named Heather Cox Richardson. And if you don't know her, I really encourage you to subscribe to her daily newsletter. First of all, she's prolific. It's unbelievable the historical context that she puts things in. And I will say, because I don't think we've talked about her, have we?
I really don't think so.
So I was introduced to her by my friend Lily. I'm looking at her dog, Libby. Sorry, Lib. And one thing to really enjoy about her is that she's quite liberal. So, you know, as we all should be striving to read unbiased news, I wouldn't say that this is unbiased by any stretch of the imagination, but it's really interesting how she positions modern day current events into historical context. So if you're interested in it at all, Heather Cox Richardson. I don't know where she's a professor. I haven't really looked into her, but she's crazy interesting. So this is from May 23rd. I am just gonna, I guess I'll read you the whole thing. Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay.
Shouldn't take too long.
No, it's not super long, but I think there's value to it. So, Frederick Douglass wrote his autobiography 3 times, but to protect the people who helped him run away from enslavement, he did not explain how he managed to get away until the last version. Douglass escaped from slavery in Baltimore, Maryland in 1838. In his 20 years of life, he had had a series of masters, some kind, some harsh, and one who almost killed him. But by 1838, he was a skilled worker in the local shipyards, earning good money for his master, and enjoying a measure of freedom as well as protection. He had good friends in the area and had fallen in love with the woman who would become his wife. It was enslavement, but within that existence, it was a pretty good position. His peers in the cotton fields of the Deep South were beaten like animals, their deaths by violence unremarkable. Douglass himself had come close to being sold down the river, a term that referred to the slave convoys that traveled down the Mississippi River from older worn-out lands in the east to fresh raw lands in Mississippi and Louisiana, and he knew that being forced to labor on a plantation in the Deep South would kill him. His relatively safe position would have been enough for a lot of people. They would have thanked God for their blessings and stayed put. In 1838, Frederick Douglass was no different than they were, an unknown slave hoping to get through each day. Like them, he might have accepted his conditions and disappeared into the past, leaving the status quo unchanged. But he refused. His scheme for escaping to freedom was ridiculously easy. In the days of slavery, free black sailors carried documents with them to prove to Southern authorities that they were free, so they could move from northern and foreign ports to southern ports without being detained. These were the days before photos, so officials described the man listed on the free papers as they saw him, his color, distinguishing marks, and scars. Douglass worked in shipyards and had met a sailor whose free papers might cover Douglass, if the white official who looked at them didn't look too closely. Risking his own freedom, that sailor lent Douglass his papers. To escape from slavery, all Douglass had to do was board a train. That's it. He just had to step on the train. If he were lucky and the railroad conductor didn't catch him and no one recognized him and called him out, he could be free. But if he were caught, he would be sold downriver, almost certainly to his death. To me, Douglass's decision to step aboard that train is everything. How many of us would have taken that risk, especially knowing that even in the best case, success would mean trying to build a new life, far away from everyone we'd ever known. Douglass's step was such a little one, such an easy one, except that it meant the difference between life and death, the difference between a forgotten enslaved shipyard worker and the great Frederick Douglass, who went on to become a powerful voice for American liberty. Tomorrow, my students will graduate, and every year students ask me if I have any advice for them as they leave college or university. Advice I wish I had had at their age. The answer is yes. After all these years of living and of studying history, I have one piece of advice. When the day comes that you have to choose between what is just good enough and what is right, find the courage to step on the train. So 2 quick things. I realize in looking at this, I spelled Frederick Douglass's name incorrectly. I only gave him one S, so I will rectify that. The second thing is, how often do we use the phrase sold downriver? Boy, she just sold me right down the river. How can we ever use that phrase again now that we know what the actual meaning behind it is? I will never use that phrase again.
And of course, we'll have to find another phrase for picnic as well.
Yes, unrelated, but...
well, not really.
Well, unrelated to the article. Picnic apparently derives, just to go off topic, from activities that used to happen where people would pick a person of color and hang them at a party, an outdoor party. And so a picnic is slang for that activity. So yes, I cannot use that word anymore either. I had a professor in college who was an etymologist, not an entomologist, an etymologist. And, you know, it's amazing where our phrases come from. For instance, the only one I can really ever remember is, who let the cat out of the bag? In the Middle Ages, people would go into town, into fairs, or like open markets for market day, and you could buy a bag of piglets. But often you didn't get to look inside the bag. And so you might get home after having purchased what you thought were piglets, and you would discover that it was a bag of kittens. So who let the cat out of the bag comes from the Middle Ages, and is a phrase for getting tricked into thinking you were buying an agricultural product. So get on the train.
That was off topic.
That was off topic, but you know, it's really interesting where all of these phrases that we use come from.
Yeah, and some of them have tragic histories, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So, what do you want to say about this?
Get on the train is a piece of advice that everyone can use, as far as if you're suffering from addiction or you think you have a drinking problem. I would just stick with drinking problem because that's what I personally know about it. Do what's good enough or do the right thing. It's simple, that one. Do you want to actually stop drinking? Do you have the courage to look around you and take stock of the damage you don't realize you've done to yourself and those around you? Getting on the train is hard. It's the courage to try to do the next thing. What's right for you, of course, would be to try to get healthier. And then everything after that you can help put back into place if you want to. And it's not hard, it's not easy, it's hard. It's hard work. Doing the right thing is hard work. I mean, we see it in books, and well, we read it in books. We see it in movies. We see it on TV shows that are trying to be heroic. Doing the right thing is hard. That's why a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah. Well, I also think Frederick Douglass could have just slipped into freedom and lived his life as a free black man in the 1830s, which would have been fine. But that's not what he did. He chose to come out in his lifetime, risk everything for the greater good of so many people who never had or never took the opportunity that he had and took. So I'm not likening us to Frederick Douglass.
Oh God, no. Please don't think we're doing
but
that.
But I'm saying, for 3 years, we just lived in the immense goodness of your sobriety. We lived in it quietly and anonymously, and almost nobody knew that we had been through it and that you had overcome it. Never, ever, ever hear me saying that we have overcome this. He overcame it and we survived it. But we chose to do something larger. We chose to reveal our own hard struggle in the hopes that it would help others. Are there places where you can do that? And you don't have to do it to the extent that we've done it. You don't have to do a daily live stream and write about it, and that's fine. But boy, you just don't know who needs to hear from you that you have made the hard decision. Because so often we think we are alone. We believe that nobody else has any idea what we are suffering with, which is a symptom of living with addiction. Whether you are the addict or you are in the sphere of the addict, it must be a symptom of that, because everyone we've talked to has said, I felt totally alone.
Every person I know from my AA meetings has said at some point they wanted to do something but couldn't because it was too much hard work. Oh, and by the way, when we're on this subject of getting on a train, if for some reason you think you tried and you missed, there is more than one train. There are 70 trains that go through Moorhead daily and Fargo, so you can always get on the next one.
Yeah. Yes. There is an unlimited capacity for you to try the hard thing again.
Yeah. And you will never be alone either. Even if you're not an addict and you're struggling with trying to do something that's correct, be it wanting to put up or stand up to someone you think is sexually harassing maybe you or someone at work, and you want to get on the train, that's something that you have to decide. But once you get on it, the amount of good that can come out of that will be amazing. And it's tough. That step is going to be tough, no matter what it is. I'm not going to sit here and go, yeah, all you got to do is get on the train. It's a tough decision. This story, that was a tough decision.
Oh my gosh. Anything going wrong would have meant, A, we never knew Frederick Douglass, and B, he would most certainly have been killed.
And the person who gave him his...
I was wondering about him too.
Have been...
I was wondering about that sailor. Like, was Frederick Douglass able to get those papers back to him?
Yeah. I mean, that's courage right there.
Yes. Yes.
Help someone getting on the train as well.
It's incredible how many people are there ready to help, and you can be one of them. Get the help that you need, put your own oxygen mask on, and then look around and see who else can you assist to. Because here's the thing, I don't think you have to be perfectly perfect to help someone else, and in helping someone else, you might be surprised how much it helps you. I say this all the time.
It's true.
I cannot believe what us doing this work has done for me. I wouldn't have known that. I had no idea what I didn't know about you, what I didn't know about what you're thinking, what I didn't know about the people who've reached out to us. I had no idea what I needed to learn, what I needed to discover in myself, for myself, about us, about me. I had no idea, and I would still have no idea had we not done this.
Wow.
This has been truly one of the great gifts I've ever given myself, and I thought we were giving it to other people, and I think we are giving it to other people, but it truly has been the gift that keeps on giving.
You know, we wanted to do this to see if we could help even a couple of people, but it's been useful to me too. I think I even said this to you the other day, especially during the pandemic and the lockdown where everything got closed down, including most AA meetings. This Monday to Friday felt like I was going to an AA meeting and talking about stuff.
I'm probably more judgy than most people in AA.
No.
That's kind of you to say. All right, so I will connect this email to it. I saw Ann said, Dr. Riley said she's from Boston College. Of course she's from Boston College, and she's from Maine, which must delight Dr. Riley to no end. So that's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. There's other comments. I can't read them because my shirt is white and the text is white. And so I can't see what's being said. but we'll go back and
That's
answer
bad
them.
subtitling, isn't it?
It's true. We'll see you tomorrow. Just figure out what step do you need to take to start to move towards the train. You don't have to get on the train today, but you have to start to solve how you even might think about getting on the train. And take the first little step. You might be surprised how seemingly easy it is. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.